This is Deontay Williams, and you're watching
Dante's
Boxing Nation.
This is Showtime Sean Portman.
Filipino Flash, Jesse Burns.
This is Al Bernstein. You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Hi, I'm Sugar Ray.
Chick Shape.
Sergio the last name more.
Dante's Boxing Nation. Boom, 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 boom.
Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder.
My name is Gennady Golovkin.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Hi, this is Julian Jackson, and this is Dante Boxing Nation.
This is Julia Jackson, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. All right. If you guys recall, in the Rocky IV movie, Rocky Balboa, he had to go over to Russia and he had to fight the favorite. He had to fight the guy that was expected to destroy him, the guy that he was expected to be afraid of, right? So while Rocky is out of his element, training his ass off, but while he's training, Ivan Drago is training too. But while Ivan Drago is training, he's shooting up steroids, right? And this is exactly what the modern day Ivan Drago is doing today in Russia, preparing to fight an American opponent. Talk about reality imitating Hollywood, huh? Unbelievable. So it was just reported by VADA just a couple hours ago. VADA, that's the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association. VADA's report states that Povetkin's sample A showed an adverse result for the banned substance meldonium. Matter of fact, WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, they classified this substance as a metabolic modulator. Coincidentally, this is the exact same substance that tennis player Maria Sharapova was busted for and was suspended for. You know, I talked about how analogous this story is to the Rocky IV story. But the only difference from the Rocky story in reality with this Wilder versus Povetkin story is in the Rocky movie, the American fans, they stood behind Rocky Balboa and they supported him to the fullest. They were loyal to their countrymen, to their team, right? In reality, when it comes to Wilder versus Povetkin, the majority of Americans that don't share the same skin tone as Deontay Wilder, they were actually rooting for the foreigner, right? And what makes this situation so sad is if this fight were to proceed and Deontay Wilder said, forget it, let's just fine him and I'm still willing to fight him. Not saying he should do that, but if he were to do that, then these decafs in America, do you know deep down they would still be rooting for the cheater? These are the type of double standards that we are dealing with in the sport of boxing. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but lately there have been a lot of fighters testing positive for PEDs. And you guys know the names. And the majority of fighters that have been busted are not even American. I mean, it's really unbelievable when you think about it. This is the guy that these decafs claimed Deontay Wilder was so afraid of. He was ducking him with all of his might, right? Deontay Wilder, he wanted no parts of the big bad boogeyman, Alexander Povetkin. And then we find out that really it was Alexander Povetkin that clearly had much more respect for Deontay Wilder than Wilder had for him. Because if Povetkin had to cheat, if he like, oh man, this dude, did you just see what that man just did to Spilka? We gonna have to use one of them energizers for this fight. I ain't going out like Spilka. That's what this man Povetkin was saying, right? So from this point on, I don't know if the fight is going to happen. It really sucks because this was going to be one of the best fights of the year, one of the most significant fights of the year. But you can't blame this on Deontay Wilder if the fight doesn't happen, obviously, right? Deontay Wilder, he did everything he possibly could do to make this fight come to fruition. Agreed to fight this man in Russia, right? And look what Povetkin did in return. This man cheated. You know, it's amazing, man. It's truly amazing when you look at the ignorance in the sport of boxing. When it comes to fighters on the coincidental list, like Errol Spence, no matter what a fighter on the coincidental list does, they try to condemn him, right? If you're Floyd Mayweather or you're Andre Ward or you're Guillermo Rigondeaux and you're just dominating everyone and no fan can even picture you losing to anyone because you're just that good, then the decaf, he'll say, oh, but he's boring, he's this and he's that, right? Then when you become that action-packed fighter on the coincidental list that's getting knockouts, then they come up with more excuses. Oh, well, he doesn't have the best personality. Oh, he must be cheating. He must be on steroids. Like some of the decafs had the nerves to say about Errol Spence, right? I mean, you had real ignorant decafs that were in my comment section saying this kind of stuff. You know, you had somebody sent me a message a while ago that some small time guy actually made a video accusing Errol Spence of being on steroids. You know, the type of steroids that Povetkin just got caught doing. If you can speculate that Errol Spence is on steroids for whatever reason, how come you couldn't tell us that Povetkin or Lucas Brown was on steroids before they got busted? Does this wild ass speculation only work for fighters on a coincidental list? And are these people going to make a video about Lucas Brown or Alexander Povetkin for PEDs? You see, they like to make stuff up when it comes to fighters on a coincidental list. Once again, throw as much shit on the wall until you get something to stick. And then when the real juicers pop up, then these same decafs, they don't even talk about that. What you guys will notice, even in the comment section, once I upload this video, you'll notice all of the decafs that accuse Errol Spence of cheating, or even Deontay Wilder, because they were also saying the same thing about Deontay Wilder. All the fans that were saying these things about fighters on a coincidental list, you're going to find out they are nowhere to be found in the comment section now. And if they do pop up, they're going to try to defend Alexander Povetkin. They're going to try to come up with some way to defend him. Now, they'll defend a guy who actually tests positive for steroids, but then they will still be firm on accusing a fighter on the coincidental list who hasn't failed a test, right? We know what time it is. And I'm going to keep exposing these ignorant ass decafs and the double standards that exist. One more time. If a fighter on the coincidental list is a great boxer and he's dominant, like an Andre Ward, they say he's boring. If he's action-packed and he's knocking out everyone, then they say he's cheating. And then when the real cheaters are busted, they have nothing to say anymore. They claim that Deontay Wilder was afraid of Povetkin and he was ducking him. Soon as Deontay Wilder decides to go all the way to Russia and fight this guy, then the same decaf says, oh, he only did that because he had to. It was his mandatory. Okay, if that's the case, how come we haven't got Canelo versus Golovkin yet? Isn't Golovkin Canelo's mandatory? How come we didn't get Carl Frampton versus Guillermo Rigondeaux? Wasn't Rigo Frampton's mandatory? You see how the double standards work? You are damned if you do, you are damned if you don't, right? When it comes to Andre Ward, I remember like it was yesterday. I remember when Julio Cesar Chavez, when he was still undefeated, and these fans were praising him like he was Golovkin before the emergence of Golovkin. When Julio Cesar Chavez was undefeated and he was walking through smaller opponents, Andre Ward said, you know what? I want to fight Chavez. You know what these decafs said? Leave Chavez alone. Why don't you fight Golovkin? That is exactly what they said. And you know, this is the good thing about the internet and YouTube is you guys can go back to my old videos. Those comments are still there. All of this shit is documented, right? So when Ward called out Chavez, they said, leave Chavez alone. Why don't you fight Golovkin? So we all know what happened after that. Andre Ward then started to chase Golovkin. And once he started to call out Golovkin, what did those same decafs say? Leave Golovkin alone. Why don't you move up to a higher weight class and fight Sergey Kovalev? What does Andre Ward do? He signs a contract to fight Sergey Kovalev. And still, these decafs, they are not giving Andre Ward the same respect that they give Gennady Golovkin. How does that work? Once again, Andre Ward, the All-American, doing exactly what the decafs asked him to do. And fans in Andre Ward's own country still won't give him the respect that he deserves. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You cannot win for losing. It doesn't matter if you get knockouts. It doesn't matter if you're winning every single round. It doesn't matter if you're fighting the guy that the decafs dared you to fight. At the end of the day, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But the good news is, men can lie, men can be biased and racist, men or women, but the camera doesn't lie. And just like Teddy Atlas said, that ring is the truth machine. We find out what the truth is when those fighters get in the ring, okay? So you could sit over here and you could try to tell us that what we're seeing is not what we're seeing, but it doesn't matter because the eyes tell the whole truth. That's all I got for now. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo!
Hey, yo, check this out. This is Flavor Flav, and you are watching Dante's Boxing Nation, baby.